Everyone's seen the Instagram posts, beautiful sunsets, scenic mountaintop parking spots, and carefree nomads living their best life for a fraction of regular rent. RV life looks like the ultimate freedom, especially when you're watching some influencer brewing coffee next to a pristine lake while bragging about their $800 monthly budget. But here's the thing. Those glossy social media posts don't show you the whole picture. They don't talk about the 3 a.m. emergency repairs, the hidden costs that pile up like dirty laundry, or the reality of what cheap RV living actually looks like when you're not making money from YouTube sponsorships. These aren't just minor inconveniences or first-timer mistakes either. I'm talking about the harsh realities that separate the weekend warriors from the people actually trying to make this lifestyle work long-term on a tight budget. The kind of stuff that can turn your dream of freedom into a financial nightmare if you're not prepared. So today I'm pulling back the curtain on cheap RV life in 2025. These are the brutal truths nobody wants to talk about, but every smart person considering this lifestyle needs to know. Let's get into it. Number 1. Your cheap RV will cost you more than you think. A lot of people dive into RV life thinking they scored a deal on that $15,000 used travel trailer. Yeah, you saved money up front, but here's what they don't tell you. Cheap RVs are cheap for a reason, and that reason is about to become your full-time job. That bargain rig you bought? It's probably got deferred maintenance issues the previous owner forgot to mention. The water pump that works fine will die 2 weeks into your first trip. The furnace that just needs cleaning will leave you freezing in Colorado because the heat exchanger is cracked. And here's the kicker. RV repair shops know you're desperate. When your fridge dies in the middle of nowhere and you're living in that thing full-time, you'll pay whatever they ask. A simple repair that costs $200 on a house suddenly becomes $800 because it's an RV-specific part. The smart move? Budget at least 10 to 15% of your RV's value annually for repairs. That $20,000 rig? Plan on spending $2,000 to $3,000 a year keeping it functional. Not exactly the budget-friendly lifestyle the YouTube gurus promised. Number 2. Free camping isn't actually free. Every RV channel talks about boondocking like it's this magical solution to expensive campground fees. And sure, there are plenty of places where you can park for free, but free comes with its own costs that add up fast. Free camping usually means no hookups, no water, no electricity, no sewer. That means you're running everything off batteries and tanks, which limits how long you can stay. Most people last 2 to 3 days before they need to find a dump station and water fill-up, and those aren't always free either. Then there's the gas. Free camping spots are often way off the beaten path, which means you're burning fuel just to get there. That scenic boondocking spot 50 miles from the nearest grocery store starts looking expensive when you're making the round trip twice a week. The reality? True boondocking requires serious preparation, backup systems, and experience. For most people starting out, those free camping spots end up costing more in stress, fuel, and emergency expenses than just paying for a campground with hookups. Number 3. Your rig will break down at the worst possible time. Murphy's Law applies to RVs like nowhere else. Your air conditioning will die during a heat wave in Arizona. Your transmission will give up the ghost on a mountain pass in the middle of a snowstorm. Here's why this is especially brutal for people living the cheap RV life. You can't just call for help and go home. That RV is your home. When it breaks down, you're potentially stranded with all your possessions and no backup plan. I've seen people stuck in Walmart parking lots for weeks waiting for parts because their engine died and they couldn't afford both the repair and a hotel room. Getting a 35-foot motorhome towed to the nearest qualified repair shop can cost thousands out of pocket. The smart RVers always have a plan B. Emergency cash reserves, backup accommodations, and detailed knowledge of their rig's systems. The ones living paycheck to paycheck often end up selling their RV at a massive loss just to get out of an impossible situation. Number 4. Internet and cell service will drive you crazy. All those digital nomads make remote work from an RV look effortless. What they don't show you is the constant battle for decent internet that actually works when you need it. Sure, you can buy all the boosters and hotspot devices you want, but physics is physics. If you're parked in a canyon, no amount of gear will give you reliable internet. And cheap camping spots are usually cheap, because they're in the middle of nowhere with terrible cell coverage. Even when you do have service, data costs add up fast. Most carriers start throttling your speed after 20 to 50 gigabytes, which sounds like a lot until you're trying to work and stream videos from the same connection. The people making this work long-term either have multiple backup plans or they've accepted that reliable internet means staying near cities and paying for campgrounds with Wi-Fi. That remote mountain paradise you see on Instagram, it's probably a dead zone for anyone trying to actually work. Number 5. Propane costs add up faster than you think. When you're living in an RV full-time, propane becomes one of your major utilities. Your water heater, furnace, stove, and possibly your fridge all run on LP gas, and that adds up to serious consumption. Here's what catches people off guard. Propane prices vary wildly depending on where you are. That $15 tank exchange at Walmart can cost $25 or more in remote areas. And if you're in an RV-heavy tourist destination, expect to pay premium prices. Even worse, a lot of budget RVers try to stretch their propane too far and end up in dangerous situations. Running out of gas when it's 20 degrees outside isn't just uncomfortable, it can be life-threatening if your pipes freeze. The smart play is to budget for propane like any other utility bill, because that's exactly what it is. And always have a backup tank, especially during winter travel. Number 6. Water management is a constant headache. Fresh water, gray water, black water. When you're living in an RV, your whole life revolves around managing these 3 systems. And if you're trying to do it on the cheap, it becomes a full-time obsession. Most RVs have small freshwater tanks, maybe 40 to 60 gallons. That sounds like a lot until you realize it has to supply drinking, cooking, cleaning, and showering needs for several days. This means Navy showers, minimal dishwashing, and constantly thinking about conservation. Then there's the waste tanks. Gray water fills up fast, but black water is the real nightmare. Nothing ruins your day like a full black tank with no dump station in sight. And if something goes wrong with that system, a clog, a leak, a broken valve, you're dealing with sewage problems in your living space. Water management gets even more complicated in freezing weather. Frozen pipes and tanks can leave you without water for days. That free winter camping suddenly doesn't seem so appealing when you're melting snow just to have something to drink. Number 7. Storage space will make you question everything. You know that minimalist lifestyle everyone talks about. It's not really a choice when you're living in an RV. It's a necessity forced on you by physics. Even the biggest motorhomes have less storage space than a small apartment. This means constantly making choices about what to keep and what to get rid of. Seasonal clothing becomes a major puzzle. Where do you store winter coats when it's summer? A lot of RVers end up paying for storage units, which defeats the whole purpose of downsizing. The storage space you do have is usually awkwardly shaped and hard to access. Overhead cabinets that dump everything on your head when you open them. Underbed storage that requires moving the mattress to reach. The people who make this work long-term become masters of organization and truly embrace minimalism. But if you're someone who likes having options or holds on to things just in case, RV living might feel more like punishment than freedom. Number 8. Maintenance becomes your second job. When you live in a house, maintenance is something you deal with occasionally. When you live in an RV, maintenance becomes a daily reality that never stops. You're basically living in a house that's constantly moving, vibrating, and being exposed to the elements. Things shake loose, seals fail, and systems break down at an alarming rate. That cute little leak around the window might seem minor, but water damage can destroy your entire home in months. Unlike a house, you can't just call a handyman. When you're parked in the middle of nowhere, you are the handyman. You need to know how to troubleshoot electrical problems, fix plumbing leaks, and maintain mechanical systems, or you're going to spend a fortune on mobile RV techs. If you're not mechanically inclined or willing to become a DIY expert, cheap RV living isn't going to stay cheap for long. Number 9. Weather will control your life. When you live in a house, bad weather is an inconvenience. When you live in an RV, bad weather can be dangerous, expensive, or downright miserable. High winds can make driving terrifying or impossible. Rain turns your RV into a drum with you trapped inside. RVs are basically thin-walled boxes with minimal insulation, so keeping them comfortable in temperature extremes requires constant energy use. Hail is every RVer's nightmare. Unlike a house with a solid roof, your RV is vulnerable to damage from even modest hailstorms. I've seen rigs totaled by golf ball-sized hail. The successful budget RVers learn to follow good weather and plan their routes accordingly. But that takes experience, flexibility, and often extra travel costs that eat into those budget savings. Number 10. Social isolation is real. All those photos of RV communities don't tell the whole story about social connections on the road. The reality is that cheap RV living can be pretty lonely, especially if you're trying to stick to a tight budget. The RV communities you see in videos are often expensive resorts. The free camping spots tend to be more transient, with people staying a few days and moving on. It's hard to build meaningful relationships when everyone's constantly leaving. If you're boondocking to save money, you might go days without meaningful human contact. Online communities help, but they require good internet, which isn't always available. The budget aspect makes it worse because you can't always afford to stay in places with active communities. That $5 campfire social hour might not sound like much, but when you're living on $1,000 a month, every expense matters. Number 11. Hidden costs will destroy your budget. Everyone focuses on the big expenses, the RV payment, insurance, fuel, but it's the hidden costs that will kill your budget if you're not prepared. Dump station fees might only be $10 to $15 each time, but when you're dumping twice a week, that's $80 to $120 a month just for waste disposal. Propane fills, laundry, showers at truck stops, and ice all add up faster than you think. Tolls are brutal for RVs. That $5 car toll might be $25 for your motorhome. Camping fees keep creeping up. That $25 a night state park might now be $45 a night. Then there are emergency expenses. Your generator breaks down. Your awning gets damaged. RV-specific parts and labor can be 2 to 3 times what you'd pay for similar work on a house. The people who make budget RV living work usually discover their actual costs are 50 to 100% higher than initial estimates. Plan accordingly, or plan to be disappointed. Number 12. The lifestyle isn't for everyone, and that's okay. Here's the final brutal truth. Despite what social media suggests, the cheap RV lifestyle isn't some magical solution to life's problems. It's a series of trade-offs that work great for some people and are absolutely miserable for others. If you need routine, stability, and predictability, constantly moving might drive you crazy. If you value space, privacy, and having your stuff around you, living in a small box on wheels might feel like punishment. A lot of people try the RV lifestyle and hate it, but they've already sold their house and committed to this path. They end up stuck in a situation that makes them miserable because they can't afford to get back into traditional housing. The ones who succeed long-term usually have realistic expectations, solid emergency funds, and flexibility to adapt. They also tend to have some way to generate income on the road, because truly cheap RV living is pretty limiting. Look, I'm not trying to scare you away from RV life. For the right person with realistic expectations and proper preparation, it can be amazing. But the glossy Instagram version and the harsh reality are two very different things. These brutal truths aren't meant to discourage you. They're meant to prepare you. The people who succeed at budget RV living know what they're getting into and plan accordingly. If you're still interested after reading all this, then you might just have what it takes. But go in with your eyes wide open, because the road is full of people who wish someone had told them these truths before they sold everything and hit the highway. Now I want to hear from you. Are you living the RV life, considering it, or did you try it and decide it wasn't for you? What's the most surprising cost or challenge you've encountered? Drop it in the comments, and if this opened your eyes to some realities you hadn't considered, hit that like button and subscribe for more straight talk about alternative lifestyles.